My name is Sheung Yiu, and I'm a photographer. I am born and raised in Hong Kong, and I moved to Finland to study 7 years ago. And my exhibition is called The Interfaces of Prediction. The theme of the exhibition is a critical overview of facial recognition. So I am juxtaposing my understanding of face reading, which is esoteric practice popular in East Asia. An easy way to talk about face reading is it's palm reading for faces. So it's fortune telling using facial feature based on someone's facial feature. And I'm using that understanding of face reading to talk about critically how facial recognition has been developed and the historical roots of facial recognition.
In der Ausstellung sehen wir Exponate, die sowohl Spiritualität als auch Technologie widerspiegeln. Und in jedem dieser Exponate sehen wir diese zwei Sphären sozusagen nebeneinander. Wenn man reinkommt, dann sehen BesucherInnen als erstes ein Triptychon mit Selbstporträts des Künstlers. Dann, wenn man weitergeht, gibt es gravierte Steine mit Inschriften. Diese Inschriften sind Definitionen eines Gesichts aus unterschiedlichen Quellen. Einmal aus spiritueller Quelle und einmal aus einem Computer Science Magazine. In dem achteckigen Raum sehen wir an den Wänden Panels, die Sheung im Stil von Abby Warburg versucht hat zu konzipieren. Denn in diesen Panels versammelt er ganz viel Archivmaterial aus unterschiedlichen zeitlichen, kulturellen und thematischen Kontexten und versucht damit aufzuzeigen, dass die Geschichte der Gesichtsanalyse oder der Gesichtsdeutung parallel erzählt werden kann mit der Geschichte der technischen Gesichtserkennung. Dann gibt es noch ein Objekt, das ist ein 3D-gedrucktes Objekt mit einer spiegelnden, schimmernden Oberfläche. Dieses Objekt basiert auf einem 3D-Scan vom Kopf des Künstlers. Und dieses Objekt, das die Form einer sich selbst verschinkenden Schlange eines Ouroboros widerspiegeln soll, findet man auch in dem Videoessay wieder. In dem Videoessay erzählt der Künstler von der Entwicklung der Gesichtserkennung, von ihren Anfängen in den 1960er Jahren bis zu zeitgenössischen Entwicklungen, wo KIs mit sogenannten synthetischen Daten trainiert werden. Das heißt, das sind Daten, die selbst von KIs entwickelt wurden. Und der Essay stellt damit auch die kritische Frage, was passiert, wenn Menschen irgendwann gar nichts mehr mit diesen Daten zu tun haben. Also wenn sozusagen die KIs selbst unsere Vorstellung von Gesichtern prägen.
There's a loop happening where the real human faces are leaving out of the loop, and machines are training itself by using the data that it created. I think this resonates with what I see, as in time and technology seems to constantly form this closed-up loops. And in terms of form, the video starts with the 3D scanning sessions that I took in Berlin. So it's a scanning sessions where there are 102 cameras that are capturing me from different angles at the same time. And I use that 3D scan to create a digital avatar. And this digital avatar, it's transversing an abstract landscape, a desert, which was later revealed to be my face. So I am walking on an enlarged version of my face. And then at some point, there's the giant version of myself eating me, my faces, my smaller faces. So that kind of, it's a reference to the title again, is a face eat face world. Me eating myself, data eating the real faces, fake faces replacing and consuming the real ones.
Interfaces of Predictions hat als Projekt keine direkte politische Agenda, würde ich sagen, sondern vielmehr geht es dem Künstler darum, Material zu sammeln, in die Vergangenheit zu schauen und aus dieser Vergangenheit zu lernen, was in der Zukunft passieren könnte. Durch diese Parallelen, die er zieht zwischen Spiritualität, dem Glauben an Spiritualität, Physiognomie, der Geschichte im 20. Jahrhundert, was damit passiert ist, möchte er zeigen, was passieren kann, wenn wir Gesichtserkennungstechnologien unbeirrbaren Glauben schenken.
I mean, I'm very aware of the political dimension of the work, specifically with like the historical roots between physiognomy and race science, also with facial recognition as a technology and a tool used for mass surveillance. So in the panels, I hint at them and I address them. But the central theme of the show, I would say, is not exactly this political dimension. We often think of technology as something that it's maybe rational, maybe reliable, maybe even scientific. But through researching these two practices, I would say that I see there's this kind of mystical or wishful thinking in technology, and there's also this kind of technological language in mystical systems. The boundary between them is more blurred than I assumed when I first started researching this. And it's exactly not saying that mystical systems are backward and technology are progressive, really creates this critical overview and understanding of what technology is doing to us. Ultimately, technology is not just a machine, it's a cultural system of thinking. And unless we unpack that and make them visible, we'll be kind of blind believer of technology.
I mean, our faces are literally our portal with the world, as Sheung's project title indicates. It's our interface. It carries so much meaning in data. It's how we communicate with other people, and there's something very beautiful in that. But because of that, it also can be manipulated in certain ways, and it's data that we also can't control in a lot of ways. People's reading of us personally, but also how, for example, companies or governments may read our facial data as well. It's a very powerful key to our lives, and we don't always get to control how that is perceived by the world. So it's a very powerful point of connection with the world around us. The publication, it's a very small, nimble book with a shiny exterior, which is just a fantastic way of really communicating this image of yourself being reflected back at yourself, but in a slightly obscured way. So that's a very nice way to symbolize, I think, what's contained within the book. And so the book is bringing together all of Sheung's research into this, which is filled with historic examples that he's discovered in archives of facial recognition technologies being used, but also much earlier forms of facial reading being used, and the diagrams that were created to try and explain and illustrate a lot of these ideas. And these appear alongside some of his own original images of himself. The book brings together his research, original works, my essay, a conversation that we had together where we discussed some of these topics in a different way. He's obviously gathered so much data from external sources, which is essentially what facial recognition models are also doing. They're scraped from all kinds of sources, but I think it's really interesting that Sheung has contributed himself to the project by using his own face as original raw data, essentially. And so he twists models of his face, or he draws over his face. And I found that really quite empowering, actually, to see how he wasn't just blindly giving his own data, but also manipulating how it may or may not be read by a machine as well, and by the world.